Alright, good evening everyone. Welcome to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we have the Area 51 Superspeedway Cup Series here tonight at iRacing Superspeedway, scheduled distance 75 laps for tonight's event. So as I will do is we're going to pull up our starting grid for tonight's race, and then we'll get through, so kind of go over some of the things that have changed over the course of the past week or so. So starting on pole position is that number 89 of Matt Quick. He's able to hold off the 0-3 of Kevin Hash by just over 100th of a second. Raymond Rittenauer third, Charles Johnson in fourth. You got Travis Turnmeyer fifth, Kevin Fries in sixth, Todd Merkel in seventh, Matt Wagner in the 8th position. 9th through 16th, you got Corey Lang, Kyle Hess, Charles Teed, Gabe Butler, Chad Wilkes, Dean Wilkinson, Brandon Paslako, and then James Ledford. 17th through 25th, Dude Conrad, Todd Siebels, Bobby Hash, Mitchell Wilkes, Nick Monfretti, Bud Steele, Michael Spell, and Robbie Richards. And then we have 25th through 32nd, we have Alberto Lopez, Randy Miner, Roy Grandy, Mark Brown, Trevor White, Dwight Plush, Jim Brooks, and Paul Patterson. So yeah, so say big change from last week to this week is there is a new build. Do you need to mention the points though? Say even without a win here so far, Gabe Butler top 5 I should say in all 3 races. He gives him a 16-point lead over Brandon Paslako. Jim Brooks there in third. You got Kevin Hash in fourth and Quabi Brooks in the 5th position there. So say those are, oh, and of course while I was doing that, that was probably overwriting my grid, so apologies for that. All right, field just about to get going. Looks like we have 32 drivers taking the grid this evening. So yeah, like I was mentioning, new build this past week. So big change on the Superspeedway side of things. Say the draft package is definitely different with these cars. It seems like you kind of almost hit a little bit of a block of wall of air really when you get close to the car in front of you. And so we've seen a lot of these drivers try to see if they can make something happen and kind of try to lock on and push with one another, but just does not seem to be working. So we're going to definitely have to keep an eye and see what kind of drafting that these drivers are going to be able to do. It's definitely going to be a difficult one, I feel like, this evening. So, and then the other thing, of course, is it looks like they have made some pretty big additions to the side drafting side of things as well. And so with that side draft change, what that's going to do is you kind of get your right front, left front up to the quarter panel of the right rear, left rear quarter panel of that car in front of you. And that's going to be able to kind of almost act like a little parachute on them, kind of just basically packing air into that onto their spoiler. And that's going to slow them down. So we might see definitely some different strategy here tonight, because I don't think we're going to see drivers locked on one another like we've seen more often than not in some of the previous races. Alright, so pace car coming around through 3 and 4. Fuel into again right around the 20 lap mark or so. So definitely going to be a 3-stop race to see what kind of strategies we might come into play from some of these drivers here tonight. But once they'll say at this point though, everybody's just going to be trying to focus here and try to get the best starts they can and try to see where they kind of need to position their cars, as Matt Quick's going to lead the field to the green. As you see, green flag is out and these drivers are underway here again. 75 laps is the distance tonight here at iRacing Superspeedway. Inside line obviously definitely where you want to be to get up to speed, so that top line just does not have the momentum that you're looking for. So so right behind that right now, the 89 Matt Quick is that 0-3 of Kevin Hash as they enter turn number 3 for the first time here. You can see pretty much most of the front of the field here all pretty much dedicated to that inside line. I think that is what we're going to be seeing for the most part of this evening, especially up front. From everything I've been seeing and hearing, it sounds like the inside line is definitely the place to be. So right now, I think one of the first cars up on that top side is that 10 of Corey Lane. As soon as I said that, he drops onto the inside line there. So say Corey trying to kind of position himself where he needs to at this point in the event. But you see, right as soon as he did that, he saw the one of Gabe Butler. He's going to try to jump to the top, but again, can't quite make it happen there. And then right behind him is the number 55 of Dean Wilkinson there. So say right now, kind of the first two side-by-side battles going on is a little further back here, about the 17th position. You see the 45 there, Todd Siebels. So he's one of the first ones on this outside line as they run here. You see, still front pack is pretty much still dedicated single file here. I think that's what we're going to be seeing a lot of. Oh, as I see that trouble in the backstretch, you see, or in 3-4, I should say, got a couple cars just getting caught up in that one a little bit. But it looks like it's going to be the 6 of Bud Steele that may have got the worst of it. I think it's 05 Charles Teed. Actually, I think Charles Teed may have been the one I saw earlier going for a bit of a ride there. Let's go back and see what happened here. It's going to bring out the first yellow, though, of the evening. So we'll take a look as they enter turn number 3. And yeah, it's just, I think maybe Charles didn't realize that Chad Wilkes was as low as he was there. And actually kind of sneaks through Brandon Paslako. He gets a bit of a shot there, but then this is where Charles takes a bit of a hit. Nick Manfredi as well gets into it. You see Jim Brooks just sneaks by there, say maybe caught a little bit of damage. Not 100% sure there. But yeah, it actually looks like Nick Manfredi may have been the driver to get the worst of that. As you can see, it looks like that unfortunately did pop the motor of that 29 machine. So he's going to have to go ahead and get a fast repair in his car there to be able to get back into it. So luckily they do have the one. The other car, like we mentioned, is Chad Wilkes. It looks like, yeah, maybe a little bit of right front damage. Nothing too terrible on his side. I'm trying to take a closer look. And then also got to mention the 21 Brandon Pasalacqua. Take a look how his car looks to be. Maybe a little bit. It's hard to see there on his car. What we could do, actually, we'll cheat and we'll take a look from the back. Yeah, so his doesn't look too bad. And if we jump in front of Chad Wilkes, the 48 James Ledford, yeah, you can see that right front damage on that 17 machine. So, some mixed strategy right now. Our leader does pit, though. Matt Quick, he's going to hit the pits here. So he never won the shy away from pit strategy, so Matt's going to go ahead and get that taken care of now. Probably a fueling stop, I would suspect, for him. Say he's going to have a few drivers with him. Gabe Butler also in as well. We mentioned Chad Wilkes also in the pits here. So say kind of a mixed bag on who's pitting, who's staying out. So that's going to cycle the lead now over to Kevin Hash here in that 03 car. And then also showing, so I think unfortunately something may have happened to the 71 of Mitchell Wilkes. I see Mitchell here in the pits showing as one lap down. So say he may have got caught up in something somewhere as well, unfortunately. Unfortunately, not sure what it was, though. Looks like Chad Wilkes opted to go ahead and try to get that damage repaired manually. About a 27-second stop for him. But just looking at the nose, I worry a little bit if that's going to still hamper that car. As you can see a little bit on the right front, and even a little bit on the left front fender, I feel like. So say this may not be kind of the ideal situation for him, and that car may have to risk the fast repair. But when you're this early in the race, you really don't want to have to burn one right away. So I think he's going to try to hang on to it to see if he can hold that draft, because I think that's going to be kind of the what do you call it, the telltale if it's going to be worthwhile or not. So leader's going to come across here and should get the one to go. So then they'll double up and we'll get things back going again here with just under 70 laps to go. Alright, so pace car is about to enter turn number 3, saying I'm glad to announce that I've got my partner in crime in the booth here with me. That is Mr. Dale Knott. Say I think security held him a little extra, didn't realize who he was. Say maybe a new haircut or something, Dale, but say they had to patch you down a little extra, but glad you're able to make it up here.
Yeah, as always, glad to be here. Pretty excited to see what this new draft package has to offer.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So we didn't get too many laps in there, so definitely a lot of single file on the inside line that last time around. So as they get back underway here, a lot of tire spin. You can see these cars just trying to get the traction down. These cars just wiggling for all they're worth here as they get back up to speed here. But as they get into turn number 1, though, everybody's going to try to force their way to that inside line. Because I say when you're at this track, I mean, you're going 230, 240, and I say you're only going 200 miles an hour as you enter turn number 1 on these restarts. So just that difference of speed, you definitely want to find your way to the inside as quick as possible. So right now, again, looks like pretty much the same thing as last time. Everybody trying to find their way to the bottom. Kyle Hess, the first to run the top side here. But again, right now, kind of a lonely man on that outside line. But yeah, like I say, we were talking about, like you mentioned, Dale, with that draft package, and it's interesting. It just feels like you kind of hit a block of air, and you just really can't do anything with it at that point. So you can see right now, you see Raymond Rittenauer here behind the 03 of Kevin Hash, just maybe about a half a car length, maybe a little less than that, but it's really tough to kind of close that window to get within that that little buffer of air, if you will, to be able to make something happen. So it's going to be interesting to see if these drivers they're just going to kind of stick with this plan here, or is there going to be a little strategy call where maybe that leading car might maybe try to drag the brake just a little bit at the right time to bring them into the mix here. But as soon as I say that, though, I'll say I'm sure someone's going to have some plans here. But with as early as we are in this race, again, only on lap number 8 so far, of scheduled distance being 25, I don't think we're going to see any big moves here early on.
Kind of surprised to see the 2 draft packs this early on too as well.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of the same situation. I feel like is just with these restarts, it's easy to get kind of trapped a little further back. So like you said, that second pack right now, kind of actually, I must have probably missed something, because yeah, you're right, Dwight Flesh, he's about looks like about 2 seconds off that lead pack. So right now, everybody in this second group probably not where they want to be here. You always want to be in that main pack. And saying that last time by, Dwight was about a full second slower than that lead pack. So we'll see what they're able to do once they get reassembled here, because they've got some good guys in that second group, like Bobby Hash. You got Matt Quick there, last week's winner. Chad Wilkes is in that mix as well. So definitely some big names and some big speed in that group. So we'll see if maybe they can try to bring this group back together.
And that's the thing, nobody has a whole bunch of experience with this package yet, so they're going to have to try new things and think kind of outside the box for what they would normally do.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think this is also where the pit strategy, getting in, getting out quickly and efficiently, it's gonna mean more than ever now, because it's just, we see how aggressive that you have to be to try to stay up with these guys. And again, it's like right now, I don't think it's that these guys are just like, they're not riding. It's just like I said, you just hit that little like block of air, and that's pretty much where the car sticks. I mean, we'll look at the back right now from our leader of Kevin Hash, and you see Raymond Rittenauer, he can get to about a certain point, and then he kind of stalls out right there. So from what I'm seeing, it's very difficult to close that draft. To say, I think with the big group it's a little easier, but I did run a few laps here with yesterday actually, and if you're 2x2, unless that guy's dragging the brake to you, there's just nothing you can do. You just can't close that little pocket of air, basically.
And that's what when you look throughout the field, that's what you're seeing. They'll get up to about a half a car, and then nobody gets any further than that, really.
Yeah, I think, like I said, it's going to really change the dynamic. Probably make a big adjustment for how aggressive you risk being at these situations. Because again, so you just don't want to lose that track position, because again, it doesn't seem like you can really tandem up with somebody, especially at a track like this at iRacing Superspeedway. I think it's even that little bit more difficult, because Daytona and Talladega, you can within reason be able to actually push through the turns, but here at iRacing Superspeedway, with the banking as high as it is, it's just pretty much asking for trouble if you try to make that happen. So I think that's what we're seeing here as well.
Yeah, just looking at that 87 of Raymond Rittenauer in second position, he's usually right up on the bumper, pushing the guy ahead of him. And since I've been here, I haven't seen him make it that far.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, lap times, they're still quick right now. They just broke the 44-second mark, 43.998, 992 for Raymond. So they're right there on that number. You see Charles Johnson actually gets a little lower there, 3 and 4. Oh, as I say, that caution is out. Looks like I think I saw the 20 off pace. Oh yeah, big shot for that 20 of Alberto Lopez. So he's able to get off the banking. I would say that's actually a really smart move for him to get off track to avoid have anything else involved in this one, but definitely going to need a faster pair under this yellow for him. He's going to have to try to limp this thing to the pits. But let's see what happened to bring out this caution. I say hopefully not net code, but you never know. Take a look. Here's a inner turn number 1. Now it's like the inside line starts to check up a little bit in front. Yeah, you can see he's trying to react to that checkup. And then unfortunately, you see the 48 of James Ledford, he gets into the back of him. But the problem for James was, I say he had pretty much a bumper full of that 14 car as well. And then that's where the 14 gets a pretty big shot there. And surprisingly, again, though, somehow through all this, Jim Brooks just sneak underneath there. A lot of these cars could have been a lot worse, but they're able to hang on to. You see Dude Conrad doing a little bit of drifting, actually, to try to hang on to that car as well, which he does. And say so Gabe Butler, we'll have to keep an eye to see if he has any damage to that nose of that number 1 machine. Doesn't look too bad, but always something for those drivers to kind of, unfortunately, have to worry about a little bit here. So, yeah, so going to put us back under yellow here. Going to be a break for that 20 car. He's going to try to get serviced here and get back out before the leaders catch him. So say the leader's about to hit the pits here and make. I think at this point you're going to see probably the whole field here. Go ahead and hit the pits here.
And just watching that replay, Jim was kind of in a tough position, and he managed it very well. He knew the 20 was going to come back down the track, and then the question is, do you stay in the gas or hit the brakes? And it looked like he stayed in the gas, and it really saved him.
Yeah, this track is really difficult when you have incidents on track. You just don't know what's the right way to go or where you should make something happen. So, yeah, so he went ahead and, like I said, he was able to get around that. But there's times, I mean, you're almost blind in those pit entries, or it's just in those instants entering the turns, just because of how. Kevin Hash overshoots his pit stall just a little bit there. It's going to cost him a few spots here. Although it looks like he's going fuel only, so that might save him a little bit of time. Yeah, he looks like you see there, Dale. He only loses the 1 spot, looks like, to Raymond Rittenauer. So going to wind up as best as it could. But we actually do have a couple takers staying out, surprisingly. First, I'll say, not a surprise is one of them being Bud Steele, and the other one being that 05 of Charles Teed. So they're going to go a little bit off strategy here. So while they run around under yellow here, so I'm going to do a quick update on the try to get the paints working a little better. I noticed a few of them aren't showing up correctly, so you're going to see cars disappear for a moment and then come right back. So don't worry about that. That's all me. So the other thing, Dale, is we talked about the pit window. It was pretty much a guarantee to be a 3-stop race just because of about a 20-lap window on the fuel side of things. So what I'm looking at now is the fact that we're going to be getting the one to go here at 60 to go. So if some of these drivers maybe top off this time around, again, this is all based on it going green, it would be tight, but they could maybe make it a 2-stop race from here.
Yeah, and I'm positive those discussions are going on right now, especially with guys like the 89 and Matt Quick. You know, he is the fuel master. I talk about him every time we're on these super speedways. Matt really takes all the information he can to judge how he's going to run, where he's going to run, and when he's going to pit. So I'm sure he's thinking hard about how this caution in particular changes his strategy.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So you can see everybody's doubling up now.
You know, I think the fact that he had Bud Steele and Charles Teed stay out, I think that really hurts Kevin Hash missing his pit box a lot more. Being on that top line, having cars in front of him. I think we're going to see him fall back a little bit here.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility, so we'll definitely have to keep an eye out for that. Yeah, so we're going to see what that happens. It looks like where's Kevin Hash going to restart here 4th. So, yeah, he's going to have to get through the gears quickly, maybe also hope for a little bit of a break from some of the guys that he races with week in and week out, like the 51 Travis Turnmeyer. He might be one to keep an eye out for, see if he can find a way to sneak underneath. Kevin Freeze is right there in the 25 as well. So there's definitely some good options for him to try to work with here. So I'll just see if any of those come into play. Alright, pace car's ducking off. It's going to hand it over to that 6 of Bud Steele. He again has control of this restart. He's got Charles Teed to his outside, then right behind him. He's got Raymond Rittenauer on the inside line. You can see there he goes, but again, you got to be careful about the tire spin. You see a lot of wiggling going on there as they try to get the power down here. But so far, so good. Looks like everybody's going to get away with it.
Matt Wagner made kind of a big move there, jumping to the outside, trying to get around that 6 car. I'm sorry, the 03 didn't quite work out, but just, kind of surprised me, I guess.
Yeah, actually, you can see Kevin Hash was able to find his way to the inside line, so it's exactly what he's looking for, to be able to try to get to that inside line. But you see Raymond Rittenauer, he's going to try to see if he can make the top. We haven't seen anybody make the top groove happen yet, so they've got a pretty good group of cars lined up behind that 6 of Bud Steele, so I'll say if any group's able to do it, I'd feel pretty confident about these guys right now running 2nd through 5th here.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're going to calculate this and wait till the time is perfect to make this move around.
And you see, I think that right now they just kind of got to get settled in, get the basically get the momentum, if you will, to try to make it happen right now. Like I said, I think they're just not quite there where they need to be. So it's just, yeah, it's going to be a tricky thing to manage here. Something I'm noticing too on the top side, these two working together here. Again, not usually maybe on the super speedway side of things, but Charles Teed, he's right now our points leader on the IndyCar series side of things in that number 05, winning 3 races in a row, and actually Matt Wagner right behind him in that 11 car. I'll say those two definitely run a lot with one another in various leagues, mostly on the open wheel side of things. But it's again, like you said, Dale, so you get somebody you're familiar with and comfortable with. Usually those are the people you try to line up with and work together.
Yeah, absolutely. What I like seeing here too is Matt's not. I talk about this about every week, but Matt's not really a cup car driver. He's just kind of started racing these, but he's getting very comfortable as you see him, running the top side here as he drops to the bottom now.
Yeah, he saw that open. He had to take. Oh, he saw that 8 there, dude. Conrad. Oh, yeah, as he contact. Somehow, it looks like they're going to survive. I say a little bit of damage to a couple of those cars. I think. Oh, actually, we got trouble right behind again. I think they might hold on to it. Said the 18 of Roy Grandy. He's going to get a big shot there as well. But somehow they all kept the cars pointed in the right direction. We stay green. That 18 of Roy Grandy definitely got a lot of damage from that situation. I think double check the 29 of Nick Manfredi, trying to see if he's got a little bit of damage, I believe, as well. I saw also the 76 had some along with we saw that contact initially with the 8 of Dude Conrad. He was kind of pinned to the inside there, and I think is actually the car he's right behind now, Dean Wilkinson. I think those are the ones that kind of made that initial contact. So I think all 3 of these guys maybe have a little bit of damage they're going to have to try to kind of just limp through here until they either use a fast repair or see if they can get the damage repaired manually.
Yeah, it's a tough break for Jim Brooks as he's got substantial fender damage. I think as long as he stays tucked in there, he'll be all right. But, if he gets out by himself, it's going to be a big issue.
Yeah, this is definitely where you got to stay locked on and not do anything too crazy. And the same thing actually goes for that 55 of Dean Wilkinson right in front. He needs to probably, as I was going to say, he's got some pretty good front end damage to his car as well. He's going to have a hard time keeping up. And I think that's exactly what those guys behind him were just noticing, that he wasn't able to pull up very well. So they're going to try to work their way around. You see Robbie Richards tried to clear him, couldn't quite do it. And saying that's the risk of trying to follow those passes through, because every so often you just can't quite fit. But unfortunately, what this is doing, those is really costing these guys that lead draft here while they fight for these positions here. And so unfortunately for Matt Wagner and Charles Teed, you can see they have pretty much fallen towards the back of this lead pack here. Matt Wagner, he's worked his way back to the inside, but like we talked about, Dale, that lead pack here with Bud Steele leading the way. Not sure if it's by choice or not, but these guys just aren't able to get around that 6 car right now.
Yeah, and early on in this run, Raymond Rittenauer, Travis Termeyer hooked up on the top side. I don't know if this draft package is going to allow you to make, those topside passes here. Maybe on Daytona and Talladega, but it's what we've seen so far. It's not going to happen here.
Yeah, so we'll just wait and see if anything changes from this. But yeah, right now definitely looks to be advantage goes to that front car here. So like I said, I think pit strategy definitely going to be an important one. I'm looking to see for those that may have topped off on the one to go. Looks like not really that many takers, if any, actually. It looks like Michael Spell, he had to hit the pits off cycle in that number 88 car. So he's getting service done to his machine here. But actually, I'm looking now at Bud Steele again. We mentioned that fuel ended up being around 20, maybe 21 laps, depending on fuel and savings and all that. So based on that, I think we're going to have to see that 6 in probably about 3, maybe 4 laps. And also the 05 Charles Teed, probably same thing in about 2 or 3 laps in that number 05 machine as well. So I'll say pit stop's actually going to be looming for those couple guys that stayed out here. Whereas the remainder of the field, Raymond Rittenauer and company, they can probably go about 10 more.
And this could be disastrous for the 6 of Bud Steele and the 05 of Charles Teed. I mean, they're going to lose so much time. They're obviously not, the only draft partner they're going to have is each other. So this could be very bad.
Yeah, I'll have to kind of see how everything pans out. So right now, say kind of a 2-pack, or actually say a couple packs right now. So obviously the lead pack here, that's falling all the way back to just about Charles Teed in that 05. You can see actually Charles trying to be able to keep up with that draft. So you kind of, when you're that last car in that group, it's hard to hang on to him. So he's right on the edge there. So this is right now is the lead pack here. So from 1st to 17th. Then further back here, you've got the 8 of Duke Conrad, who he had that little bit of a mix-up with that 55 of Dean Wilkinson. These guys right now are running 18th through 21st. Running about a couple tenths of a second slower, not too bad for only being the 4 of them. And then a bigger group a little further back here, as well as that 101 of Randy Minor leading this pack with Alberto Lopez. You've also got Bobby Hash, Dean Wilkinson, Paul Patterson right there as well. And so yeah, so I say these guys are also same boat, kind of a little bit of trouble. This time these guys are running about a second off pace here.
I noticed the 87 and the 51 kind of jumped high there for a second. I thought it might have been pit time for the 6 of Bud Steele, but he didn't pit and they fell back in line.
Yeah, I wonder if they're doing their own math, thinking like, okay, he probably is going to have to pit, and maybe he didn't call it. So that's another thing that's really important, is you got to make sure you call some of these pit strategies, because again, how difficult it is to get on pit road here. So again, we suspect we'll see the 6 car here pit very shortly, which will cycle lead over to that 87 of Raymond Rittenauer. So we'll keep an eye on Bud here as he comes off of 4. Nope, he goes one more time. So getting pretty good mileage out of that number 6 machine. But again, though, these guys behind him, though, I think they're all thinking long runs. They see that 05 Charles Teed, he does hit pit road. Unfortunately, a very lonely pit road for him. So I suspect, based on that, I think the 6 is going to have to come in this time around.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised he's able to stay out, being he's led this entire run. But I would have rather seen, for strategy's sake, seen the 6 and 05 coming together for sure.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how they cycle out with one another as well, just maybe staggering a lap. It's not always a bad thing, but it's going to be tough to be able to get out in the main pack. So yeah, here comes Bud Steele. He is going to hit pit road this time around. And this is a tough pit road to get onto. You're going about 240. You got to get it down to 65. Looks like he is able to do so. So that's going to cycle things now over to Raymond Rittenauer, which is going to shrink that lead pack. As you can see, Charles Teed just now leaving the pit road there. So maybe if Charles is lucky, he might be able to tag on to one of those draft groups a little further back than this main pack. And that's going to really help him be able to keep some speed up in that 05.
Look like
actually, I see some smoke. Yeah, you're right. Chad Wilkes says he's definitely got some serious trouble to his machine. I'm not sure what happened. I'm going to go back and take a quick look, because I saw a big puff of smoke. Oh, looks like it was contact between himself and the 10 on the exit of turn 2 here. You see him to the outside of the 10, and yeah, he actually gets into the... Oh, wow, there's going to be some updates. So he actually kind of went through the car a little bit there. Actually doesn't get, he catches the wall a little bit. Could have been much, much worse there. But unfortunately, it's going to cost him the draft, it looks like, though. So you can see, actually, here comes that second group now catching up to him. So he's going to have to try to tag on to these guys. And say it also does cost Corey Lane some momentum as well here in that 10 machine. So yeah, so right now, say, unfortunately, guys are kind of weeding themselves a little bit out, just, I say, not by any intentional side of things, just some little mistakes here and there. Say, with that new package, I think everybody's trying to learn a little bit of what you can and can't do. But right now, we've got about 12 cars here in this lead pack right now who have about, I'd say, 4, maybe 5 more laps until they got to make their scheduled pit stop cycle here. And again, that's going to be a very important pit stop for these guys. One, on how far they can go, and then two, of course, just that entry and exit.
Yeah, and just kind of to throw a little perspective at it, that rear draft pack was running, when I last looked, almost a second slower than the leaders.
Yeah, so they're definitely not doing what they need right now to help their chances to catch right now. But again, I mean, still a long ways to go. Say we're starting lap number 31 this time around. But yeah, say when you ever get split up, it's really tough to be able to gain those positions back. So right now we got the top 12 here, all kind of locked on together. And right now, say of the ones in this lead pack, there's only a couple that didn't qualify up front either. Saying those right now being that 21 Brandon Paslako right there. He's sitting in that 8th position. Right behind him, that 14 of Trevor White. Trevor also started in 29th position all the way up now into that 9th position. So plus 20 for him. And then also that 73 of Mark Brown here. Right now the last car in this lead pack. 28 to 12. So other than that, everybody else in this group, Dale, qualified in the top 10. So I think that also goes to show just how important being up front at qualifying was with this new package.
Yeah, it really does. It illustrates the difficulty to pass here, the importance of getting on and off pit lane, all the things we've already talked about. Obviously, I just looking at what I'm seeing right now, I would not be surprised for iRacing to come out with a patch to adjust some things.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat here as you see Alberto Lopez. He's hitting the pits a little earlier than his window. I'm a little surprised to see him come in now. I figured he'd run this one a little longer, but he's going to hit the pits here. Say he was in that second draft pack that we had just talked about, so he's going to go a lap down for sure right here. But again, though, I feel like if you can go that extra, maybe 3, maybe 4 more laps if possible, get to pit within 40 to go, I think from there you can make it on one more stop. So I'm going to see, looks like the leader of the second group right now is the one of, no, it's not the one of Gabe Butler, it's the 6 of Bud Steele now, sorry. Say it's because Bud's a lap down. But actually, as I say that, you see he's trying to work around some traffic, and they did not get very well organized through that here. And saying that's going to hurt, though, because you see the one of Gabe Butler does have a little bit of nose damage to the front of his car, I believe. So that's going to hurt his overall top end. So they need to have the best car leading this group, but like you said, Dale, say you're talking about the lap times being off. I think that's also part of it. Is just they don't have the fastest car out front here because a lot of these guys had a little bit of incidents that are also hurting their damage.
Yeah, just a substantial speed difference right now too. So they're gonna have to figure something out or change what they're doing.
Yeah, saying Randy Miner, he just hit the pits there. So you see a few others here, a little bit off the group here. We'll say Bobby Hash in that number 3 machine. Right now he's behind the 05 of Charles Teed, who has already made a pit stop. And you got Paul Patterson there behind him in the 32 car, or in the 26 car. Qualified 32nd up into the top 20 here. So now, like I said, we're getting down to that pit stop crunch time. And the thing is, again, with this package, I don't know if anybody's actually able to save fuel, or if everybody's going to be basically foot to the floor here, just trying to make sure that they don't lose that draft.
I mean, just judging off the visuals, I think. I mean, it looks like everybody's got to be foot to the floor.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And saying again, that's just going to make the pit stops all that more important. Your in lap, out lap. Say Todd Siebels, Bobby Hash, they both just hit pit road here. So yeah, so unfortunately, like I said, a few of those drivers that opted to maybe try a little bit of pit strategy hasn't really panned out for them at this point in the race. Right now, we'll see if anybody's going to duck in. Yeah, here comes the first group of cars, and we'll see if it's all of them or not. See Raymond Rittenauer, he hits the pits there. He's got the 03 with him. So it looks like, well, one of our usual suspects staying out there. That's going to be the 89 of Matt Quick. He's right there with Charles Johnson. He's also got Matt Wagner in this group as well. Kyle Hess, Todd Merkel. So we got 5 that are able to stretch it. Hopefully stretch, I should say, one more lap. Hopefully they got to make sure they're not going to sputter. But looks like about 11 cars in that lead pack went ahead and pitted there that last time around.
Yeah, I was watching the 14 of Trevor White went around there coming on the pit road and caught the inside wall. He did use his fast repair, but I mean, just having to spin the car back around and losing all that time is going to cost you big.
Oh, here you go. Big fuel savings. You saw Charles Johnson hit the pits. Now you got the 89 of Matt Quick, the 11 of Matt Wagner, the 81 of Todd Merkel. They're actually going to go 2 laps further, Dale, than that initial lead pack did. So these guys, I think, for sure on the one-stop strategy, trying to make basically pit here, pit once more, and then that's it to the end, pending, of course, it going green. And the other thing that they've done right now is you've got all but the top 5 at the moment trapped a lap down here. So that's the other thing where you can make a big advantage here.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Especially coming on and off pit lane up as they come on. I was going to say, if a caution would come out now, they'd be in great position.
And it looks like they've all done a good job. You see everybody's able to get down to speed, no big wiggles or anything like that. So it looks like these guys were definitely ready for that pit stop cycle. So now basically it's going to be the race to see who's the quickest in and out of the pits of this lead pack here. Right now, so I'm trying to see further up. I think right now Kyle Hess and Charles Johnson, I believe they're the top 2 on track here as they get up to speed. But they're going to have a pretty hungry pack behind them very shortly, I think being led right now by, I was going to say Travis Turnmeyer. It's actually Raymond Rittenauer. As you can see, as they try to get fully up to speed, Raymond's here going about 245 as he gets up to them. So I think Kyle Hess is going to be able to have enough to grab the toe here. But you can see just that's the difference that getting in and out of these pit stops, how much it plays a role. So now the next question is going to be these guys that just pitted. It looks like Matt Quick, I should say, is going to be the first of those out of the pits here. So we'll see how he's able to cycle through. But he's got a couple seconds actually, it looks like, on Matt Wagner, Todd Merkel. So Matt Quick nailing that pit stop there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he practices these. You don't really see any mistakes out of him.
Actually, and as I said, they saw the lead pack go ahead and get by there. So I think that couple laps where he was off on his own actually does hurt him a fair bit. So what he's got to do here, like we talked about, he's got to tag onto the back of these guys in front of him, run the shortest distance, obviously, try to keep pinned to the bottom, and then just hope that you can grab onto somebody and pick that speed up, because you don't want to get trapped by yourself here. So you see right now Matt Quick trying to grab onto the back of Dwight Plesh in that 44 car, who unfortunately right now is trapped a lap down as they run. So with all the cycle through so far, that's going to put Raymond Rittenauer back in the lead. And then he's got Travis Turnmeyer, Brandon Paslako there, second and third. I'm saying Kyle Hess looks like he's just been able to hang on to the back of them in that 4th spot. So for those first 4 are going to be in this lead pack here. And then you got about a 2-second gap back to the 9 of Charles Johnson. Saying again, right now, it looks like they've got also about a 3-car pack. So now it's just going to be see who can find a way to work this draft package that better than the others.
Yeah, around a pit stops really broke things up as far as the draft packs and all that. I'm watching Matt Wagner and Todd Merkel. You know, they're drafting well. They have good lines, but Todd cannot get to the bumper to give him that extra push.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was seeing every time when you would run 2x2 or basically 2-car draft, was that lead car would almost have to just drag the brake to do it. Like I said, though, it's one of those things where it's not something you really practice very often. So there's kind of that risk versus reward of trying to do so. And then say the other problem too is unfortunately Matt Wagner looks like Matt Quick was not able to grab onto those guys in front of him. So he's going to wind up falling back into the clutches of Matt Wagner, Todd Merkel. Had a good pit stop, but I think just that extra lap wound up costing him, and so he's going to wind up falling back to these two, maybe turn that 2-car group into a 3-car group, and we'll see how the lap times are looking. So right now, Raymond Rittenauer, though, a 44.08 for that first group. Charles Johnson leading the second group was a 44.13, so just about half a tenth of a second slower. So right now, let's say, again, just very, very equal lap times from these guys. So it's just I don't know what the right strategy is to try to close these gaps up right now.
I thought Wagner was going to get a push on Matt Quick, but he didn't, because they didn't. Him and Matt Wagner and Tom Merkel did not try to go around Matt Quick. He just pulled right up on his bumper, but still, again, wasn't able to get there.
Yeah, so this is where I think you see this time around. I think Matt Quick probably was actually there dragging his brake a little bit to pick up Mr. Wagner. You see a lot of wiggles there, him trying to work with him. And I think that's another thing too, is once you do get to the back bumper, can you actually tandem anymore? Because I have seen a few times when we've seen a couple near incidents where the cars actually seem to go through one another. But you see, though, Matt Quick definitely trying to make something happen here. But you can see just they aren't able to stay aligned very well here. So I think just with whatever, again, with this package, Matt Quick is trying to work with Matt Wagner, trying to drag that brake, I think, a little bit to get him locked onto him. But unfortunately, just these cars are not able to stay lined up like we've seen before.
Yeah, and on the tandem draft thing, we really haven't had a true tandem draft package in about 8 years on iRacing. So guys are a little, it may be possible, but everybody's just so out of practice, from doing that.
Yeah, like I said, it takes a lot of work to make it happen. You basically have to kind of drag your brake just a little bit to get the guy to you. And you see, Matt Quick's not giving up on it. He is trying to see if he can get Matt Wagner to him. We'll have to we'll watch the lap times and see. Oh, that's not going to work there. You see Matt Wagner catches the inside, the apron there as he tries to follow just a little too close there. You kind of get blind on the entry. So he's going to cycle there now right behind Todd Merkel. But yeah, so right now things just not quite going to plan here with that tandem draft, I should say, approach. However, I'm looking a little further back, and so you see Bud Steele, he's starting to lead this third group, if you will. He's starting to close the gap on them. So say this group is going to go from 3 cars to about 10 cars here in very short fashion.
Yeah, they're definitely going to pick up some speed with that, but Bud Steele's also on that other pit strategy where he's on lap 17 of from his last stop. So he's going to have to jump out of that draft pack earlier than everybody else.
Yeah, you're right. So yeah, Bud Steele's going to have to pit here in probably about 3 to 4 more laps in his car. The only plus side on that is he'll be able to pull everybody else up to them, and so that'll switch over to then Trevor White being able to lead this pack. So, and you mentioned that, Trevor White having a bit of an issue on the pit entry to be able to recover like he has, to be now still in that 12th position from the 29th starting spot. That's a really good recovery through that, and then through the pit cycle to not lose too much time. And as I say that, they are now in that group.
Matt Wagner, and who's with him there? The one car looks like they're going to try something. No, Matt goes all the way to the wall.
Yeah, I think Matt's just getting out of the way here. I think he's a little bit worried about what he was trying to do earlier, it not working. So here's the 2 I'm going to be watching. If they can get lined up here, you see the one of Gabe Butler, you see the 89 of Matt Quick. We talked about if there's anybody you want behind you or working together, those would be the 2 I think that can really make something happen. So we'll see if Gabe can get to the back of the 89 car, because if they can do that, I'd be curious to see what kind of lap times they can start putting on. Let's see, up front, things still pretty steady. They're kind of just picking off some cars that have lost the draft little by little here. So one thing actually, we did miss something, because unfortunately, Kyle Hess, he's lost this main pack. He was in that group, he's fallen off the back, so now he's under pretty close to being under attack here from that 0-3 of Kevin Hash. And actually looking at the lap times, Kevin Hash, they've been a little bit quicker than Raymond right now. They're only about 3 seconds off the lead pack here, so these guys not giving up. And same thing with Kevin Hash and Kevin Freeze. We know how well these guys also are drafters, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them be able to close that gap as well.
I kind of expected that second group with being led by Matt Quick to pick up a little more speed than they have. They definitely picked up about 2/10 from what they were running. But I kind of expect them to get into that closer to 44-1 area.
Well, yeah, and I think what we're seeing here is we're going to see Bud Steele, I think, probably have to pit this time around. Yeah, here he comes. He's going to duck in. I think what these guys are probably, well, not all of them, but I think right now, if you're Gabe Butler, you want to get around that 81 of Todd Merkel. I think Gabe probably wants to be the one to push that 89 car, because again, we know how they just seem to kind of almost know what each other are going to do. So I think right now it's unfortunate they don't have that lineup yet, but if those guys at some point get hooked up together, I think that will be where we can really start seeing some things happen. So, but the other thing is pit stop window probably around, I'd say about 7 more laps for the lead pack here, maybe 6 more actually now that they're going to cross the line. But actually thinking about that though, Dale, too, we talked about those guys that had to pit a little earlier than the Matt Quick, Todd Merkel, and Matt Wagner. Again, this is all based on it going green, but if it does, they can probably still go another lap or 2 longer than this next set of cycle stops here. So if they can pit within 20 to go, could they be the only drivers that can make it to the end on fuel?
Yeah, and that's a great point and a great possibility. And you want to look like you really know what you're doing, pull something like that off where you got just enough to cross the line and everybody else has to make an extra pit stop.
Yeah, I mean, when you're going 240 miles an hour and you have to bring it down to 65 for the full length of the straightaway, I mean, just think about how much time you're losing track position-wise doing that. I mean, it's probably, I would say it's over half a lap just on the entry and exit. Like if you had a drive-through penalty, let's say, I think you lose half a lap just in that alone. So, and you look at the gap that they have right now, it's not quite a full straightaway between them right now. It's about 14 seconds. So basically, when they come out of turn number 2, Raymond Rittenauer, as he hits into turn 3 right now, Matt Quick and company, they're coming out of turn number 2. So they've got about a full straightaway gap between themselves and the leaders. So I think that would be enough to make that one less pit stop be worthwhile. And that could also be why we saw Matt Wagner not really wanting to fight, just to get back in line where he says, okay, you know what, I'm going to get back into the fuel saving strategy side of things here and make sure I can make it to the end instead of being in that lead pack trying to push.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, he shot all the way to the outside and just let everybody drive by him. So that may be what he's thinking.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a more apparent, hey, you guys all go, I'm going to go way up high, you guys go on by, and I'll cycle in where I can. So but yeah, again, right now let's say the top 3 still all together here. These are the top 3 on position. Michael Spell right now showing as the first, no, actually Michael Spell unfortunately showing 2 laps down in the 88 mission. I apologize. So right now Michael not where he wants to be. Ideally he would obviously be 1 lap up so he could get the lucky dog. I think right now the driver in that position is the 26 right behind him of Paul Patterson. So right now he is the first car 1 down in that 26 car. So we'll take a look at lap times again. So yeah, right now lead pack with Raymond Rittenauer, 44.1s. Second group being led by Kevin Hash is in the 44.5, so 0.4 of a second off. And then that third group led by Matt Quick is in the 44.6s, so about another 1/10 of a second off of that second group. So even though it's a small group, whatever Raymond and Travis Turnemeyer and them are doing with Brandon Paslako, I mean, they're making pretty good lap times.
Yeah, they're not very far off. I think 43.9 was 43.9 was the fastest I'd seen, and I mean they're only 0.2 off that with a much smaller pack.
Yeah, so this time around 44.1 for the lead pack to a 44.3, 44.4 behind. So yeah, right now let's say this lead pack just doing a really good job of doing what they needed to do. Right now we're coming around. This next time by is going to be 22 to go. Again, I think that pit window here is going to be probably about 2 more, maybe 3 more if they're lucky, laps to go. So if they can get, like I said, if these leaders, if they can maybe run 21 laps here and then pit with 21 to go, they might be right on the number. But like I said, it's going to be very, very tight for them. Right now, obviously, the drivers in the best situation here are going to be that 89 of Matt Quick. But again, he's 15 seconds off the lead pack right now. So then I actually go back to the second group of pit stops, which was led by Charles Johnson in the 9 car. He pitted just 1 lap later than Raymond Rittenauer and company, him and Kyle Hess. So they do have potentially one extra lap of fuel than that lead pack as well. All right, so we're going to come across here, 21 to go at the line. And based on this, Dale, let's say, so this is starting lap number 20 for them. If they do have to pit this time around, this would be them pitting at 20 to go. So they would be pretty much right on the number. Of course, I mean, it's all kind of tenths of a gallon most likely, where if they can or not do it. So yeah, it's going to be really intriguing to see when they do, if they do pit this time around or not. And then it's just going to kind of open up the question of, okay, is that going to be enough to make it to the end here?
Yeah, when you talk about how close it is and all that, just think if they have enough to go one more lap, which it looks like they do not.
No, it looks like they're all heading in, all three of them together. So I was curious to see if any of them could save that extra bit. You see big slides from a lot of these guys. I'm not sure if any of them got down to speed there, Dale. They all got in there really hot. But surprisingly, though, you see Kevin Hash. He's able to gain a lot of time on the pit entry there in that 03 car, so he was able to get a good entry. So now I'm watching the scene. Yeah, so sure enough, the two that I was curious about, Kyle Hess and Charles Johnson, they do stay out to run this extra lap here. So this might be just that little bit of extra buffer that they need. And one thing that they do have going for them here too is they're coming up behind that number 20 of, oh, they already passed them. I was going to say they're going to grab some draft off of Alberto Lopez, but probably not enough there. So yeah, so this is going to be very interesting to see. And actually looking at the pit exit right now, I'm only seeing Brandon Paslako come out of the pits there. So I have a feeling some of these other guys, I think Raymond Rittenauer, Travis Turner, I think they got busted speeding, unfortunately, on the entry.
Yeah, Travis also came into his box a little hot and had to throw it in reverse, so that's going to cost him, even more.
So that's now brought Kyle Hess and Charles Johnson both into the pits here. So that's going to leave us, again, the ones we talked about that went that little bit further. Matt Quick, the first of those, and then again Matt Wagner and Todd Merkel with them as well. So they're going to go that one more lap as well here. So I'm saying again, this is going to spread the field out so much more. Right now, Brandon Paslako, he's going to be the first one to get out of the pits on his pit stop. But the problem for Brandon is he is off on his own. He has no help around him here. So we're going to watch this last set of pit stops as they hit the pit here off of 4. So again, they gotta just make sure they give each other enough space and get it woed down here. And it looks like a very clean and just well organized pit stop between the three of them. You see Matt Quick on the top side, Matt Wagner in the bottom, Todd Merkel running the middle there. And I mean, that's just communication. Say, hey, I'm going to do this, you do this, you do this. That way we make sure we don't step on top of one another. So now, all right, we're going to jump back over here because right now Brandon Paslako will become our leader once this is all cycled through. But again, as we mentioned, Dale, you need help at these races, and right now he is on his own. So we'll see if maybe he can tag onto the back, so you can see he's a little bit away from the 51 of Travis Turnmeyer. Maybe he could get one of them to drag back a little bit to him to help his speed out, because otherwise he's going to be getting gobbled up very quickly here. And I believe it's going to be now the 03 of Kevin Hash that's going to be taking over the second position, with Kevin Freeze right there in the third spot.
Yeah, it feels way more spread out than what we've been all race. It's going to take a few laps, maybe 5 or 6, to get a nice pack organized. It'll definitely happen again. But right now, there's a lot of people losing a lot of time on this racetrack.
Yeah, same. We mentioned Kyle Hess. He just came out of the pits as well. As you can see, he's lost this lead pack here as well. Actually, let me take a look at his lap time, or his pit stop. No, it's a normal pit stop time, so I'm just waiting for it to cycle through, I think. But yeah, so say Kyle Hess and Charles Johnson, you can see they got split up with one another as well. So right now, say Brandon Paslako kind of just off on his own here. But again, this is our race leader, but unfortunately, say just not where he really wants to be. He wants to have some help with him, and you can see he's so close, but just not quite close enough to get to those guys in front of him. So yeah, unfortunately, he's going to wind up kind of getting gobbled up here by Kevin Freeze, Kevin Hash. So. And the downside of that too, well, actually no, I'm sorry, they're on the same pit strategy here. So that 21, the 03, and the 25 all pitted on the same lap here. So that's gonna be the next question: is do these three all feel comfortable being able to make it to the end or not? Yeah,
and it's definitely gonna be tight. I mean, there's no other way to put it. It's gonna be one of the tightest fuel races we've seen this year.
Yeah, say last time by Kevin Hash about a full second faster than Brandon. I'm going to say wait for everything to cycle through, because same thing goes for Kyle Hess, Charles Johnson. They're also running in the mid-45s because they have no draft with one another. They're about 2 seconds apart. And all that's going to do is that's going to bring Matt Wagner and company with Matt Quick, Todd Merkel, and I think they have one more with them there too, Robbie Richards as well. That's going to get these guys, again, they're going to be running about over a second faster than these guys in front of them, and that could bring them right up into that mix with that 9 and the 87 should they not find any drafting help sooner than later.
Yeah, I'm not sure when they grabbed Robbie Richard, but I'm sure he's happy they did.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I think Robbie pitted one lap before them, so he may have fallen off that group, the previous group, and then fell back in. So with that though, now Kevin Hash, he's taken over the race lead while we're kind of going through the field there a little bit. So now you've got Kevin Hash, Kevin Freeze behind him, and Brendan Paslako now in third. But they've got about a 5-second gap over Kyle Hess in that 4th position. So I think right now, if you're Brandon, you kind of know you're, I think, between a rock and a hard place, because you know Kevin Freeze, Kevin Hash, you know that they work together so well week in and week out. And I'm trying to remember on the team side of things if they are part of the same team or not. But I don't think either of them are teamed up with Brandon Paslako. But even with that, though, we know how near impossible it's been to pass here. So honestly, right now, if that 0-3 has enough fuel to make it to the end, I mean, I feel like you got to put him in the catbird seat at this point. Of course, knock on wood, pending it go green.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that in a while. You know, if there is a caution, it stacks everybody back up. Everybody can then make it. So
yeah, so right now we got the top 3 here all together in this lead pack. We got to jump back again, still stuck on his own Kyle Hess there. He is in the 4th position, and then 5th. Say Charles Johnson did finally get caught by this group behind him, who are also both lapped down. That's the 48 of James Ledford, the 44 of Dwight Plesh. They're now down, as you can see, now almost about 7 seconds plus off the leader here. It looks like out 9 for Charles. But what's happening with this, though, is this is letting this group behind of Matt Quick, Matt Wagner, Todd Merkel, Robbie Richards. They're definitely closing this gap here again by about half a second to a second a lap until they kind of got reorganized. So these guys definitely doing what they need to do in order to try to bring this gap down and maybe have a chance to fight for a top 5 themselves. So we'll go a little further back as well. So you got the one of Gabe Butler. He is now kind of in this, I guess you'd call it a 4th pack at this point. You got Gabe Butler there. He's got Trevor White, Jim Brooks working together. This is 10th, 11th, and 12th. They're only about 2 seconds off of the back of Robbie Richards. So if they can work together here, their lap times have been pretty good actually. Mid 44s to high 44s in front of them. If they can keep doing what they're doing, they might have a chance to get into that mix as well. Then you have to go back a little bit further to get to Mark Brown in the next group of cars in that 73 car. He's got Bud Steele with him, but as you know, Bud's going to have to make another pit stop here. They are 13th and 14th positions. And then, I say right now, kind of the last pack, I think, on the lead lap here. You got Dude Conrad with Todd Siebels, Randy Miner, and Charles Teed right there as well. Trying to say, actually, Bobby Hash, he just hit the pit road in the 3 machine. And then Travis Turnmeyer, Raymond Rinauer, they have that pit penalty right now. They're just trying to work together and stay on the lead lap here, just in case. You never know with potential of yellows. But yeah, right now you can see leaders really bearing it down on them here, as we've got next time around, Dale, we're going to come to 10 to go.
I was watching Gabe Butler running 44 threes. I mean, running the pace that Kevin Hash is running in the lead. Definitely going to be able to catch Robbie Richards. I don't see any way around that. And that's only going to make that draft pack even better.
Yeah, it's about 0.3 of a second quicker than Matt Quick, Matt Wagner, Todd Merkel, Robbie Richards. So, yeah, I think, and say the other part is they're going to get just about here. Where I think they're about 1.5 seconds off of that group now, where that one is going to start picking up a little bit of draft here, and that's just going to help that speed even more. But yeah, so as leaders cross here, 10 to go. So we might have a pretty good group here from 6th to about 12th, I should say. Have a pretty good battle for these final positions as this race winds down here. But again, though, what I'm watching for is just going to be that fuel number. Does anybody, do these guys have enough to make it to the end? Because you see Brandon Paslako, he's kind of fallen off a little bit, dropped out the back of these two in front of him, the 0325. So I kind of wonder, is Brandon maybe going a little fuel save mode? And then also, if you look behind him there in that 21 car, he's got a teammate now. Unfortunately, is a lap down. But we know how important teammates can be, and that's going to be that 18 of Roy Grandy in that Keystone Ford. So I wonder if they made that 18 trying to help push that 21, give him a little bit of extra fuel, kind of help push him forward without burning as much fuel off, or just see if they can try to figure out a way to get some momentum built up in front of them. But right now there is a lot of traffic here in front of the leaders. As you can see, everybody's kind of trying to shuffle around a little bit to figure out where they need to be.
Yeah, I'm sure Brandon's pretty happy in the situation he's in with Roy behind him, especially knowing how tight this fuel race is going to be. Oh, yellow is out.
Oh, everything's going to change here. Say caution is out. Oh, it looks like it's the one of Gabe Butler involved. Yeah, you see him spun to the inside here. So that is going to change everything like we just talked about, Dale. If it happened, what it could do. So say that, yeah, the complex of this race completely changed around now. Let's go see what happened here. And unfortunately, it looks like it was with that group catching the group in front of him. You see the one to the outside. You see then the 14 to his inside. And then the 12 of Robbie Richards. And it looks like, the 14 just washes up a little bit off of turn number 2. Catches the back of Robbie as well. And the 14, see Jim Brooks just sneak on by there. So yeah, the 1, the 12, and the 14 all getting caught up in that one. But actually, they all are able to actually keep it pretty well pointed straight there. And then Gabe Butler, though, he's able to keep it locked down and keep it off the wall, most importantly. So that car's going to live to see another day. Saying because things are going to definitely be picking up here as we're going to be restarting with probably around 5 to go here, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm watching Kevin Hash right now. You can see he's just running the apron, Dale. I don't think he wants to pit. I think he feels like he's got to try to stay out here to have control. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. He's waiting for the pace car. But probably still trying to save fuel in the apron. So that's going to be the next question. There's going to be a lot of strategy calls. Do you stay out? Do you top off? Do you take tires? Because, again, we have up to 3 attempts of a green white checker, and I feel like the aggression's only going to be picking up here. As you can see, looks like the leaders are planning on staying out. Trying to see who's the first that's going to take a pit stop. So we'll jump back here to Matt quick there. Matt's going to stay out. So, yeah.
All the way back to, like, Brooks.
Yeah, it looks like Mark Brown might be the first to hit pits from the 12th position. So, yeah, so not a lot of takers, actually. I honestly suspected more, but it looks like Mark Brown, he's going to be the first to pit. Say it is a huge break, though, for Bud Steele. He was probably on fumes, honestly, at that point. So Bud Steele, he's going to be able to get a very opportunistic time to get a pit stop done to his car. Also bringing in Randy Miner, we mentioned, Gabe Butler as well. And then a few drivers that are lapped down, they also hit the pit road. So, and it looks like Paul Patterson in the 26, he's getting the wave around. That's going to put him back on the lead lap. So big break for that 26 car here, which will give us 20 cars on the lead lap. And we have about 6 that are now 1 down. But with all those leaders staying out, unfortunately, none of them are going to be able to get that wave around.
There still is potential for another disaster if somebody runs out, and there's no other way to say it. It's going to end up real bad if somebody runs out in the corner.
Oh, yeah, no doubt there. And that's all going to depend on, of course, if we make it. I think if we make it under distance and no green-white checkered, I think we're fine. I think everybody's going to make it. However, if we get into green-white checkered territory, then, yeah, there's going to be drivers running out. But actually, my bigger concern right now is tire spin. This is like a big Dover, and we know how hard it is to get on the throttle at Dover on old tires. And so, I mean, these guys have run about a full fuel run for a lot of them here. So they're going to have older tires, probably a little bit greasy. Say track temp's not too bad. 97 degrees is the track temp right now. But yeah, I worry about that with that banking on the straightaways. It's very easy to get that back end to kind of drift up towards the wall. I mean, we even saw it on brand new tires. So these drivers are going to have to be very careful about their throttle input. So yeah, this is now kind of brings everybody back into it here. So again, when we've seen how difficult passing is, so honestly right now I feel like advantage is going to go to that inside line again. So based on that, you see Kevin Hash with there. He's got Brandon Paslako. He's got Kyle Hess now behind him. And then you got Matt Wagner on the inside line as well. So like I feel like those guys, Jim Brooks as well. So I feel like that's the line you want to be. Just got to make sure here, again, like I said, Dale, you got to get through the gears cleanly. And you got to make sure you don't get any tire spin on the back of the tire of the car as well, because I think that's going to be where things can really catch a lot of guys out here. Especially, I think that pretty much second gear, I think, is going to be really, really treacherous here.
You know, the tires, this place puts so much heat into the tires, it wears the tires so much, kind of counter to what we expect at super speedways.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's the tires, more of just the banking. I mean, you think about Talladega, Daytona, they're pretty flat, really, on the straightaways. And I mean, actually, I think about it too. You're actually on the tri-oval, so you got a little bit of that turn to help you with the banking. But here at iRacing Superspeedway, it's a much more banked straightaway, and you're also, like I said, it's a straightaway. It's not a tri-oval. So I think that those two things kind of work against you here. So it's gonna get dicey here in this restart. So you're gonna see, I think, a lot of drivers try to force their way into the inside line if they have all the opportunity to do so. So now it's just gonna be all about this restart and see what Kevin Hash and Kevin Freeze can do from this front row as he is down and away. You see Kevin Freeze wasted no time, jumps to the inside there. You see also, I think that was Charles Johnson. He does the same there. So you see everybody just trying to find their way to the inside as quick as possible as we cross the line there. 5 to go here.
Yeah, and everybody did a great job. I don't believe I saw any wiggles, at least. I definitely didn't see it out of the front row.
Yeah, you're right. It looked like everybody did a pretty good job getting the power down and not having any trouble. So say right now, again, looks like it's going to be pretty much, I don't think you're going to see anybody here in this top group here just get off that yellow line. And say the risk is going to be for those that are maybe second, third, fourth in that inside line to make sure that they don't enter too shallow, hit that yellow line and wash up the track. So we'll have to wait and see. Right now, you saw the 89 of Matt Quick wants to try to peek to the outside there. He does get to the outside of that 86 of Kyle Hess, and he's going to get some help, it looks like, from Matt Wagner here. We'll see if he can maybe get a little bit of push forward.
Yeah, these three guys have worked together all day, so not really surprised to see that. They gained a couple positions, but they lost Todd Merkel, it looks like.
Yeah, you see with Matt Wagner having a bit of a moment, Jim Brooks able to sneak underneath there and grab that spot as well. And now you see Matt Wagner try to see, Matt Quick try to sneak under that yellow line, get around the 86. But yeah, I think Kyle Hess knew exactly what was going on there. He definitely protected that line there. So right now, everybody's still holding pretty steady here. We'll say 4 to go this time. Cross the line is going to be 3 to go. Right now, Kevin Hash holding steady here in front of the 25 of Kevin Freeze, Brandon Paslako in third. 3 laps to go here at iRacing Superspeedway.
Matt Quick seemed to make the side draft work pretty well there. I wonder if he's going to be able to, as he gets under, I can't tell what car that is, but I wonder if he's going to be able to do that to work his way the rest of the way here.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. We didn't mention that very much, but yeah, there is definitely a big side draft, and you're right. He was able to get underneath the 86 there of Kyle Hess, so that's going to move him now up into that top 5. Next on his list is going to be Charles Johnson. So the question is, can he get to that quarter panel maybe of Charles Johnson to try to pull a little bit of air off the back of that 9 car, push a little bit of air on the spoiler. As you can see, Charles washed up just a little bit, but not enough for Matt to peek his nose under here, as we're going to cross line here again. 2 laps to go here at iRacing Superspeedway.
And Charles Johnson being glued to the yellow line tells you a lot about the racing, because he's one of the guys we'll see go, up to the wall and run in the second or third groove.
Yeah, I would say Charles is never one to kind of hold that inside line, but unfortunately, I think his hand's kind of forced right now. He knows what what he has to expect here. He's seen it already in some races, so he's going to try to try to make a move. But he has to time it at the right time. Oh, caution's out there. Trying to see where it is. There, it looks like the 14 involved. Oh yeah, heavy damage for Trevor White. Looks like on the back end of his car. Yeah, the whole rear deck lid's gone. So it's going to give us our first attempt of a green-white checkered, Dale, and that was, I think, what a lot of drivers did not want to see, and what others are very excited to see here.
Yeah, that's definitely going to cause some concern in a few people.
So we'll take a look here as they go down the backstretch. I'm going to guess it's probably just someone trying to get in a gap that wasn't there. So Trevor White was the one that got the worst of it here. You can see he tried to squeeze down in front of the 20 there. There just wasn't room here. And then we'll see what happened. Oh yeah, you see. So what happened there was Alberto Lopez. He had to react to it. He got down onto the apron, and then unfortunately that difference of the apron just doesn't work, unfortunately. And so you can see the 101 as well of Randy Minor. He gets a little bit of damage from this as well. But say the 14, you see he gets the worst of it here. As you can see, the car's going to spin back up towards the outside wall here and takes a pretty heavy shot there.
Yeah, and the 14 does not have a fast repair, and neither do the 10 does not either, I don't believe. Or the I'm not the 20.
Yeah, I believe you're correct, and yeah, you can see the 20 is already pretty hurt there. So I think Trevor White, he unfortunately looks like he's retired. I think he is exactly like you said, Dale. So I think beneficiary of this it's going to be between Dean Wilkinson and Charles Teed. It looks like you see those two right next to each other on track here. Right now, Charles Teed showing in front of Dean Wilkinson, so that 05 might be the one to get a lap here. And you see the leaders, they are not going to pit here, Dale, so they're going to kind of wing it. So this is where he talked about that risk of running out of fuel. And I mean, I don't see how they're going to make it, because right now they're on lap 21 since they last pitted.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. If I'm Kevin Hash, I'm gonna be all the way down on the apron, trying to make this as short as I can and conserve as much fuel as I can.
Yeah, that's exactly right. As you can see, here comes Charles Teed. He does get that lucky dog, so he's going to get back onto the lead lap. So that's going to leave us now 20 cars on the lead lap. So good break for Charles to say he was that one. Unfortunately, he stayed out on that one caution, and that kind of just pretty much undid his whole race there. But he's able now to recover from it. We also mentioned the 6 of Bud Steele was the other one that did that, but that previous caution is what saved him as well. So yeah, you're exactly right though, Dale. You see a handful of drivers all now down on the apron. So if we're playing fuel numbers here, the driver that is definitely by far in the best position for fuel is that 89 of Matt Quick. He pitted 2 laps later than Kevin Hash, Kevin Freeze, Brandon Paslako. Charles Johnson, he pitted 1 lap before Matt Quick, but 1 lap after Kevin Hash, Freeze, and Brandon Paslako. Jim Brooks in the same boat as Charles Johnson. Same goes for Kyle Hess, Robbie Richards, and then Matt Wagner there in the 9th position. He's in the same boat as Matt Quick. Here's everybody pretty much running the apron here, trying to save as much fuel as humanly possible.
So, and it may just be a tire issue because he is taking tires, but Todd Merkel pitted on that lap. And what concerns me about that with the 11 and the 89 is that all 3 of those cars were on the same pit strategy.
Yeah, I wonder if Todd is just trying to go off strategy, thinking like, hey, you know what? If we get multiple green white checkers, maybe they can't even make it to the end. So if we get to that 3rd one, everybody's got to pit. I'll be in the catbird seat. So, but same thing too. I mean, he might be worried about that little bit of tire wear too. There's a lot of potentials for that one. But right now, let's say those that are obviously with no issues, good to the end. The best of that's going to be Bud Steele in the 6 car. He's in the 12th position. And then Mark Brown, Gabe Butler, they pitted as well under that previous yellow. So let's say they're also easily good to go to the end on fuel. All right, though, it is 1 to go here. So you see a few drivers maybe not where they wanted to be on the restart. So say going to get another rush to the inside line as they get going here. So it's going to get interesting here, Dale. I'm not sure what to expect, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, coming around 20, when they take the green, they'll be on their 23rd lap of this fuel stop. You know, guys like Kevin Hash and Kevin Freeze, Brandon Paslako. So it's going to be tough to make it.
Yeah, so I mean, this will be the 2nd caution under this last run. So I mean, you think about the caution. Okay, you can save probably a lap or so under yellow. But I mean, we saw everybody pitting around lap 19, lap 20. So if they can make it. I think these top 3 are definitely by far in the worst position of everybody else. And if they can make it, to me, I think it's a big if here. They're going to be on fumes, but I feel like the fact that they're staying out, I feel like that means that they feel like they have to be able to make it to at least the initial green-white checkered here. So, it's going to be nip and tuck. These guys are going to be going for all they're worth. But yes, if any of them have the slightest of stumbles on the fuel side of things. Again, I'm watching that 89 of Matt Quick. He's got 2 laps more fuel in that 89 car than those in front of him, so it's going to get interesting here. So now, first things first, though, they got to get through the gears here cleanly. His pace car is off, and you see Kevin Hash wastes no time. He's going to go early. A little bit of tire spin, able to hang on to it, though. And you see Kevin Freeze, again, wastes no time, drops to the inside line there right in front of Brandon Paslako.
Yeah, kind of everything really stayed in order on that. And again, everybody did a great job with no tire spin.
Yeah, so these guys, I was all worried about the tire spin. These guys proving me wrong week in and week out. So Say this is attempt number 1 of green white checker. If we get it to the white flag, they will race it back to the end from there. However, if another caution comes out, we will rack them up and do it up to 2 more times. But right now, say Kevin Hash, I think he's going to hope this thing stays lean and green, because say if he has enough fuel, it's going to be just for this run right here to the end. He will not have enough fuel for another one as they come through 3 and 4 for possibly the second to last time out of turn number 4. Alright, looks like they make it to the line, so we are on the final lap here, Dale. Again, we talked about the draft package. I don't know what they can do here. It seems like it's been really tough to do anything with it, so does anybody maybe try to drag that brake a little bit to see if anybody can get that little bit of a push? And again, everybody's been watching their fuel pressures and everything as well, make sure they have enough to the end here. But right now, Kevin Hash in a pretty good position here going down the back.
Well, you got 2 cars trying to high line and 2 more. People starting to make moves to try to go forward.
Yeah, I see a 3 wide there coming into turn number 3. We're going to stay focused up front because, again, we talked about the fuel. Actually, Charles Johnson's able to get around the 89 and Matt Quick. Didn't see that. But I say it's trying to move Charles back up to 4th. And we were worried about fuel, Dale. It's going to be for not Kevin Hash going to get the win over Kevin Freeze. And Brandon Paslako brings it home in 3rd. Charles Johnson in 4th. Matt Quick looks like he's going to bring home a top 5. And then we talk about some of those guys made moves at the end there. See, Jim Brooks will grab 6th, and then Dude Conrad, Travis Turnmeyer, Raymond Rittenauer, Bud Steele somehow finds his way up into that 10th position on that last stretch.
I wonder if Kevin even has enough fuel to do a burnout.
So he's going a little bit too fast here, I feel like, to be able to do a burnout here. He's got to save a little bit if he wants to celebrate here. But say fuel, no fuel, he's going to be happy about getting that win tonight. Started 2nd, gets the win. Played the pit stop strategy perfectly. Somehow had enough fuel in that tank to make it even an extra range to the end there on that green white checkered. But yeah, say Kevin Hash getting the win. Say maybe a little bit of a, like I said, him and Better Kevin as they nickname him, did a really good job there. And Brandon Paslako stayed right with him that whole way.
I think he might be out.
He had enough just for the one little donut there, but hey, that's all that matters. If you can get to the line, that's all that counts. So Kevin Hash getting the win this evening. So we got to hunt down some top 3 drivers to have an interview with. That's going to start things off with the number 21 of Brandon Paslako. All right, so we'll go ahead and pull in our third place finisher, Brandon Paslako, in that number 21 Miller Lite Ford Mustang. So Brendan, all right, so I was apparently way more stressed than you guys were about fuel. I thought there's no way you and Kevin could make it to the end there. So you were the first of those to pit there. Were you looking at the field numbers like, okay, yeah, we know we can make it from these positions, or was your hand forced at that first green flag pit stop, basically?
Hand was forced. Yeah, I had no idea where I'd be in terms of fuel and if I'll be able to make it to the end of the race. So when I came down that last green flag pit stop, I came out by myself and didn't have a lot of draft help. And then I looked at the fuel calculation. I was like, uh-oh, we're pretty close to be able to make it here. We'll be right on the dot. And then I had to start trying to save some fuel once both Kevins got around me. So I just got lucky, and the caution at the end definitely helped out. So every squirrel finds a blind squirrel finds a nut here and there. So I'm very appreciative of the opportunity tonight.
Yeah, so I'm sure it's kind of one of those things where you're really happy, obviously, to have that green flag pit stops. We saw it burn. I think it was Raymond and Travis there. They got caught speeding, and so it's like, all right, cool, I got the lead. And then you come out by yourself. It's like, oh, this is not what I want.
Right, absolutely. And they went into the pit stops way more aggressive than I did. And I was like, oh, I better speed up myself to catch back up to them. And then as soon as we get to the cone, I see them locking it down, and so did I. And I actually came down pit road over the speed limit, but I think I backed it down about the 45 miles per hour. So I think it evened itself out. So I got super fortunate there that I didn't get caught up on that penalty like those guys. But it was great running with those guys for sure, and it helped me get to the spot where I was at tonight.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be working with anybody, say those guys are definitely good ones to work with tonight. Unfortunately, you're kind of caught with all of them. It seemed like, obviously you had Raymond and Travis at the pit stop cycle. Then after the cycle, you had both Kevins there. So, kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place there. But one thing we did see was before those cautions came out at the very end, we did see your teammate kind of line up there behind you in the number 18 of Roy Grandy.
Yep.
Were you guys maybe going to try to see if you could figure out something to try to do to have a chance at those guys, or was he maybe just trying to help you on the fuel side of things, maybe try to give you that little bit of extra draft?
Yeah, no, he was just kind of helping me with the fuel saving there. I couldn't run right up to Kevin Freese's bumper. I needed to save more fuel on that, so he was kind of that buffer to keep me, shoved up a little bit closer to those guys. So he actually dropped back a good amount for me. So I really appreciate Roy for doing that for me, and it helped out. So, God, I don't know if you can do anything on that outside. You'd have to have a lot of qualified drivers to be able to make that outside work with this draft package. I'm not sure what it looked like from you guys up there in the booth, but for us down there, I was like, you better just stick to the bottom and hope that you can stick it down there. Other than that, you're going to drop back to the back of the pack. So unfortunately, I think you're kind of stuck where you were riding at towards the end, and everybody was just trying to get to the bottom to protect their spot.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what we saw as well. I mean, all those restarts, even at this track, every time you restart, you want to get to the bottom because you're just not up to speed, and it's so much quicker. But yeah, no, it did seem like we were talking about. We did a little bit of we did some that test race on Saturday to see how things were going. But from my point of view, you kind of hit like a wall of air basically once you get to like within about a half a car length of that car in front of you. And so what we saw again here tonight, we saw a few drivers try to see if they can maybe roll the brake a little bit to get the guy behind them to be able to tandem. But it didn't seem like the cars lined up well. Like they couldn't hook on one another very well at all. So Dale and I were kind of suspecting we'll probably see an update to the update, if you will. Because we know that the side draft definitely does work here. But yeah, the fact that you can't lock on to one another definitely I think will be something that they'll be playing with. So I think you guys will be making some more adjustments next week as well, it looks like.
Yeah, for sure. It's okay. It keeps things interesting for us, right? Keeps us on our toes. I'm not sure. Also, maybe a question for you guys is: it seemed like the car was pushing into the corner way more than it ever has. Maybe it's just me not understanding how to drive the car. But between this week and the first week this season, it seemed like the car was pushing way more into the turn. And I didn't take right sides in that first pit stop. And then when I came down the second time, my right fronts were at 85%. So it seemed like there was a lot of tire fall off there. And towards the end, it was very hard to handle there. So I'm not sure if you saw other cars kind of look that way and been out of shape a little bit.
I would say nothing that stood out of the ordinary. I said for me, it's usually you just kind of see someone kind of tucked in really close to the guy in front of him. You kind of miss the entry. But now that you mentioned it, on my test race Saturday, when it did feel like I'd put a lot of wheel in it to get it to kind of rotate back down. So that's a really good point that you brought up as well, because like I said, it might be adjusting. Like tires might actually play a role in these races in the future if that stays the way it is as well. So it's definitely gonna get a little bit interesting, but we'll definitely be keeping an eye and see what the future updates or lack thereof will come to bring. But I'll say otherwise next week, it's definitely gonna be a different kind of race if it stays like this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a lot of learning, and it keeps everything interesting. So, and it's good to have a little bit of a change up. And I hope that there's a little bit of an update. But if it's not, we're going to keep riding. I'm sure it won't be too long before we figure it out, and then we're back to 3 wide racing. So.
Yeah, no doubts there. So you guys definitely kind of find a way to make it work week in, week out. So being said, though, got to give you the floor here. So I know you put a lot of work on the Thursday series, but I definitely want to give you a chance at any thanks shouts you'd like to give for that third place tonight.
Yeah, no, just everybody at Area 51. Part of my drivers meeting on Thursday nights is, the first thing you always start off with is saying how appreciative that we are of having everybody joining us every night on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. So without the drivers, none of this would be possible. So shout out to everybody. Shout out to the admin team too. A lot of people put a lot of work into trying to make everybody as happy as possible all the time. And I think we're doing a pretty good job this season. And then thank you to you, Gail, and Dale in the broadcast for Green White Checker TV. I love watching every broadcast. I really appreciate the show that you guys put on for us.
Yeah, so it's always fun to be a part of. Like I said, it makes us have to kind of adjust with the updates that have been coming in and out. So kind of like, okay, well, we know this used to work, that's not going to work, and so it definitely keeps us on our toes as well. But yeah, you guys again did a great job tonight with the race this evening.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
All right, Dale, that is our second place finisher, or third place finisher, I should say, Brandon Paslako. Got to jump over to from one Miller Lite car to another Miller Lite car. That is going to be the 25 of Kevin Freeze, aka Better Kevin. I'm sure if you had the opportunity to do something with Kevin Hash, you would have taken the opportunity. But obviously, with the way this package is, with this new update, you're pretty much, it seemed like you couldn't go anywhere. You just had to kind of commit to where you were after where you restarted there.
Yeah, with this package, even as second, third place car, you're pretty much flat-footed the entire time, and you got to work really hard to get a run. So, and if you go to the outside, nobody goes with you, just drop the anchor.
Yeah, we definitely saw a few drivers kind of go to the top and then anchor back to pretty much the last car of that lead pack there. So, and we'll say, was that just kind of what you and Kevin Hash were kind of talking about? I was like, okay, just kind of we'll see how things cycle through pit stops and all that, and then from there, that's just what we'll stick with, and not basically to make sure we get each other the best results possible, or what was the thought process there?
Yeah, I knew that if I didn't get right down on every restart, I saw it at Talladega running races this week. If you're on the outside, even with a full pack, you're going back to like 10th place, no matter what you do. So once an opening opened up, drop right down. And through the pit stop sequences now, everybody's pretty much getting the same mileage because you're just flat-footed the entire race.
Yeah, so that was what we were noticing too, as we're looking at the fuel mileage. I was actually surprised a couple guys were able to go a little further than we thought they could. But so that was actually the next part too. On that is how tight were you on fuel there to the end? Because I honestly didn't think there was any chance you guys had enough for green white checkered.
Yeah, it was close. I think I ended with like less than a half a gallon, but every pit stop once the flag came out, I was shutting the motor off, just trying to do anything I could to save.
Yeah, that's what you got to do in those situations. And so for that, say it was pretty much you, Kevin, and Brennan there. Say you were the first to kind of hit those green flag pit stops, or at least pit and then stay together. And say, was that the same thing? You guys there's no way you could stretch that extra lap, or like we saw a couple guys able to go that one more than you guys?
Probably could have gone maybe one more lap on the first stop, but if you leave the main pack and you're in any car count less, you're just losing time. And there's also tire fall off. Like the middle cars in the pack, second through probably fifth, you're just aero tight throughout the entire turn, and it was washing everybody up the track. A couple of interesting moments from that.
Yeah, it's actually the second one to mention that. Say Brian did mention the same thing, that he was actually noticing it was really tight for him on entry as well. So I said usually super speedways you talk about tires kind of being a non-factor. So I say we'll obviously see if anything changes between this update and then future races. Obviously, if they make any tweaks to it. I say on the side of that too, did you play at all on the side draft side of things to see if you could maybe steal a little bit of air off the guy in front of you to kind of slow him down, or was basically you're just kind of committed to Kevin Hash to make sure you guys stayed locked around? So I know at one point you had to get around Brandon when he was kind of rolling solo there after that last pit stop.
Yeah, the weird thing with the side draft in this new model is you have to hit that car really fast and then run away from them. Because if you stay too long on their side, you both just lose a tremendous amount of speed and you stall out side by side. Like earlier in the race, we were single file and I pulled out on the 11, I think that's Matt Wagner, and I hit him with the side draft and was able to pull away and take his spot in line. And that was interesting, but nothing was going to line up to do that towards the end of the race.
Yeah, so it definitely was a very different type of race than we've seen week in and week out with this group. So, and so you were able to adapt well to it though, and grab that second position to kind of help your standings. Obviously, 'cause, this is race number 4 of 12. So, leading into of course the little three race playoff as well. So. Definitely want to give you the floor though. Any thanks, shouts you'd like to give for that result tonight, and to say I'm sure not the way you wanted to be able to get a little race here there, but still able to bring it home in that solid result.
Yeah, huge shout out to Area 51 putting this race on. This race is a lot more interesting now. It's more of a thinking game than just matting it to the floor and just going. And thanks to Ray and Travis for speeding up pit road to give Hash and I the lead.
Yeah, so they definitely took one for the team on that one. So we saw him get in there. So Dale and I were watching and say it looked a little hot, and yeah, sure enough, it wound up being that way. So say their misfortune wound up being pretty good fortune for you and Hash there. So, but yeah, congrats again though on that second place though, Kevin. Look forward to seeing you again here soon.
Thanks, Gal. Have a good night.
All right. So Dale, that leaves us just one guy left, and that is our race winner. That is that 0-3 of Kevin Hash. I was skeptical. I didn't think there was any way he was going to make it to the end on fuel, and he does, and he has enough to at least do a donut, and that was about all I had left in the tank there. But that's all that matters to say. As long as you cross that line, Kevin, I'm sure that's all you're looking for on that last restart.
Oh, for sure. I was just mainly hoping I did not see another yellow flag because there was no way. I ran the lap after the finish, most of it with the clutch in, and still barely had enough fuel to do one little baby donut on the finish line. So there was no way it was going another lap. The big thanks for that would probably be the iRacing iFlag pit box and Matt Quick being able to tell me, "Oh yeah, you got almost enough fuel." He was trying to get me to pit, but it worked out.
Yeah, Matt Quick's kind of Mr. Fuel Save, so yeah, so you might have to take some of his stuff with a bit of a grain of salt there, but I mean, yeah, you, Kevin Freeze, Brandon Paslako, I mean, you guys all pitted together there on the same laps there, so I mean, you guys are all in the same boat, so was that kind of what you figured? It's like, hey, if they're staying out, then I'm gonna stick with it too.
Yeah, and especially with this package to where in order to keep the cars behind you in the lead pack from getting a big run, you're lifting a little bit yourself to manage that. Everybody calls it the beach ball effect, so that way you can stall the car out behind you. So we'd been lifting a little bit there, especially coming toward the end, just making sure, I know Kevin's trying to make sure Brandon couldn't jump to his outside, and I'm kind of making sure Kevin can't jump to my outside, and that we can kind of keep everything under control and make sure, basically lead car here, if they can time it right, especially they can pretty much win it as long as they ain't got a huge run coming up on you.
Yeah, so that's actually really interesting because let's say there's obviously more to it than what we can see on our side, that things that you have to do to kind of manage the gaps and all that, because like, yeah, from where I'm sitting, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, you get the lead and they can't touch you kind of a thing, but obviously it's not that simple. But yeah, so I mean, you definitely had to obviously hit your pit stops, get in and out cleanly, to make the most of that. That obviously worked out well for you guys. And then, like I said, those last couple of restarts had to make sure you got through the gears cleanly. I was all worried about the tire spin on the restarts, but it seemed like it was a non-issue. Was that just you guys able to kind of manage the throttle, or did it seem like it actually had better grip on these restarts than we've seen previously at this track?
I really don't know. I would say the two times that we had the restart, especially to where whenever I wasn't out front, to where I could time it and I could kind of control my own pace to keep it from going crazy, it was a little skeptical. I know when I got behind Charles Teed there on the one restart, I was a little bit more worried about him than I was myself. I was able to slip the clutch a little bit more to keep it from spinning a whole lot. I learned that here the last time we was here, but I think really the tire model and everything too is a little bit more forgiving on that.
Yeah, so it definitely was some tire wear, it sounds like, as well, but I say you were definitely able to manage all of that well. Started second, so I mean, a great run for you, pretty much up front all evening long. Getting the win here tonight. So I know you do a little bit of sponsorship on the Cup side of things on the 67 car, so I was able to bring that into a win here tonight as well on your side of things. So definitely want to give you the floor, though. Any thanks, shouts you'd like to give for that win tonight?
Yeah, one, I got to call out old Larry. He's blowing up my messenger right now trying to aggravate me. But, yeah, being able to sponsor him, I told him at the beginning of the season, I said, at least that way I'll be able to see my name in victory lane in the Cup side occasionally. I was like, I doubt I'm going to be able to do it, but I'm going to try my best. But, yeah, Larry's been tearing it up on the Cup side, and I'm glad I was finally able to break through over here. I'm sure he'd have gave me a whole lot more flack if I'd finished second to better Kevin again. So just him. I had stripper glitter back on the car for this race. They may be the good luck charm, maybe a little bit more traction for those restarts. But yeah, them, Ray, Quick, everybody over at Boot Knocker too, just great guys to work with, and I just enjoy talking to them every week, and it's always a fun time. And Kevin Freeze for sticking with me there at the end, not trying to hang me out. He's definitely just as responsible for this win as I am.
Yeah, so I was gonna call you up on the sponsor, so I wanted to try to make sure if I read that correctly. So I say good to see you get yourself in. Let's say, like I said, the Hash Brothers performance, and I say, of course, gotta thank the Stripper Glitter for getting you there into victory lane tonight. But yeah, I mean, great job though tonight, Kevin. Say, like I said, you were up front all evening long. Say, put yourself in the right place at the right time, and say able to manage everything to perfection there tonight. So definitely enjoy it. Say, feel free to give Larry a hard time right back at him. But yeah, enjoy this one, and look forward to catching again here soon.
10-4. Thanks, sir. Thank you all for the broadcast and the league for everything they do, and I look forward to next week.
All right, Dale. So that is our race winner. That number 03 of Kevin Hash getting the win tonight here at iRacing Superspeedway. I say not the kind of racing we're used to seeing with the league, but say when you had a new build, this is the first race since that build. So say everybody able to adjust pretty well there. And I'm sure everybody wanted to be able to get a little race here at the end, but it's interesting though. There's a lot more to it than it sounded like from where I was sitting. It seemed like you just kind of. If you're up front there, you can kind of just control your own destiny, but it sounds like actually you had to make sure you're managing those gaps and things like that more than I would have thought there.
Yeah, there's a lot more dynamics than there used to be, it sounds like, as far as these plate races or super speedway races. I shouldn't call them plate races, I guess. But yes, and throughout the next, this was race 4 out of 12, so throughout the next 8 weeks, we're going to see guys adjust, and it should get a lot more exciting as people get more comfortable.
Yeah, so everybody's going to adjust to it, figure out what they can and can't do, and try to kind of find those little tricks and things that you can make more things happen with. So wouldn't be surprised to see that come into play. And again, I mean, that's all subject to change if there's an update on the iRacing side or say, hey, okay, we like this, we didn't like this, so we're going to make this adjustment. So they might be readjusting themselves all over again as well. So, but yeah, say regardless of how it turned out, though, say a great run though for everybody tonight. Say Kevin Hash, obviously the happiest of those this evening. But we had some pretty good finishers. I'll say that we're able to move from the mid pack to the back to the front here this evening. So we'll pull up our results. Say with Kevin Hash getting the win over Kevin Freeze, and I think this is actually a perfect example of this, Dale. We talked about that kind of that pocket of air, exactly 1/10 of a second between Kevin Hash and Kevin Freeze, 0.2 of a second between Kevin Hash and Brandon Paslako. So basically, each top 3 cars were exactly 1/10 of a second apart from one another. So we may have found the magic number of where that pocket of air is. And then 4th place, Charles Johnson. 5th, Matt Quick, able to bring it home there. Say 6th position from 31st spot is the 76 of Jim Brooks. Jude Conrad able to recover, get himself back up into that 7th position. And I got to mention Travis Turnmeyer, Raymond Rittenauer. Say they were tail end of the lead lap when that caution came out. They worked their way themselves up all the way back into the top 10, 8th and 9th respectively. Say Bud Steele catching some breaks on that one caution as well. He gets up into that top 10. Got 11th through 20th here. Gabe Butler, same thing for him, recovering from that incident towards the end of the race. Still somehow finds a way to finish in the 11th position. Robbie Richards in 12th. Kyle Hess 13th. Matt Wagner in 14th. Mark Brown rounds out our top 15. And then we got Todd Merkel, Todd Siebels, Paul Patterson, Charles Teed, and Randy Miner. And 21st through 30th, these guys not having the evenings they were hoping for. Dean Wilkinson, James Ledford, Corey Lane, Bobby Hash, Dwight Plesh, Roy Grandy, Michael Spell, Alberto Lopez, Trevor White, and Nick Monfretti. And then part I hate the most is when you got just a couple guys on the last page and say it's going to be a father-son duo here, unfortunately. But 31st and 32nd, unfortunately, going to Chad and Mitchell Wilkes. Say, not sure what happened to Mitchell. Say he had to retire early. Hope everything went okay there. Maybe some hardware issues, things of that nature. See that from time to time. Say Chad Wilkes just not having the evening he was hoping for by any means. But with that completes race number 4 of 12 for the season here at iRacing Superspeedway. So again, we want to thank all of you for joining us here tonight again at Green White Checker TV. So we'll be back on Tuesday for the Indy Series at Road Atlanta. So I'll say you're going to be going some lefts and rights over there. A lot of blind turns, a lot of elevation changes. Should be a very exciting race over there. Looking forward to that one for sure. But yeah, again, congrats to all of our finishers and of course our top 3 for this evening. And so, yeah, so again, thank you all for joining us. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back on Tuesday. Dale, as always, a pleasure having you. Glad we were able to get you through security there. We'll have a chat with them for future races, make sure they don't mess with you anymore. I'll get you a VIP badge or something.
I appreciate that.
So, yeah, until then, I'll say back to reality here. I'll say Sunday Eve. So hopefully everybody has a wonderful week next week. And, of course, until then, if you can, please try to stay home, stay safe, wash your hands. And until Tuesday, have a good night.